Hi everyone, this is Chris from Meander. Today I'm going to talk through a very simple way to measure quality of hire and actually use it as a diagnostics tool to try and figure out where you should be sourcing more talent in the future to improve overall quality of hire over the long run. So this is a pretty simple approach, but we'll start with where I think a lot of people start when they're thinking of hiring quality and planning for future hires. So one of the things that you might want to do is look at the companies that you've hired from in the past and the performance review scores of people that have come from those companies. You can also add in things like promotions and more qualitative metrics. But ultimately, this is where a lot of decisions initially get made on where to focus in the future. And I'll show you a better way of approaching that in a few seconds. And so from this kind of list here on the left-hand side, you see 10 different companies. And what you may notice is with this conditional formatting, you can see maybe these bottom two companies generally produce people who are kind of performing middle of the pack. And so our performance review scores are 1 means exceptional performance, 5 means kind of terrible performance, probably someone who is really on a performance improvement plan. Whereas some of the other companies may be demonstrating people who are kind of performing a little bit stronger, and then maybe you see some kind of like inconsistent performance across the companies. And so that doesn't really help you if you're thinking about which companies to prioritize. What's more helpful is really looking behind the scenes and going a couple levels deeper on where to focus. And so the way that we've built this data set, we'll just give you a quick walkthrough before we dive into the details, is we've generated this list, and this is just kind of a random list generator, but it looks at the different types of people's function level, when they started, how long they've been employed for. And what we've done here is just generate a random assortment of appraisal reviews. Again, for the different individuals, you've got a 90-day review, first appraisal, second appraisal, third appraisal. So this could be every 6 months, every year. The longer you have, the better the assessment is going to be. But note that if you're a relatively early stage company, you probably don't have a kind of a long history of kind of performance reviews, and so maybe the 90-day performance review is where you're going to really focus your time. What we've also done is for each company, we've tagged the size of the company and the industry. And we have a quick lookup table here. So for every new company that we've hired from, we've created this tag and industry. And then we also have, just for convenience, a lookup table at the back here, just to make sure that we're entering correct data, where we can take a look at the different company sizes and different industry groups. And so what you've got here is a kind of a pretty simple template that you can download and edit as much as you like. But the ultimate goal is to generate this table. This is a pivot table to show kind of types of performance over time. And so if we actually start to think about summarizing by different types of industry and sizes, we can start to see potential patterns, which maybe helps prioritize our future sourcing or different kind of ways that we're going to strategize the hiring process moving forward. And you can basically filter this by role, by seniority level. And the more data you have, the stronger that performance is going to be. And the other thing to think about as well is we've only included performance review score here. So this is post-hire performance. If you wanted to start incorporating interview performance or kind of hiring manager screen performance, that's kind of one additional data point that you could have that maybe even creates a faster and tighter loop for you. But here we have different performance by industry. So what you may start to see here is that actually on immediately after hiring, actually your financial services hires seem to be performing the best, whereas those from the kind of telecoms and science and engineering companies are not really performing well in the first 3 months. Whereas over time, that performance diverges, and it's interesting because these are all random, really generated data points. But this is probably quite indicative of potentially a kind of a really strong onboarding performance and experience for the financial services team, whereas there's a pretty poor one for maybe the kind of more technical teams. And that may be something you want to take a look at to look at overall performance. We can then look at performance by size, where you can look at the different sizes of organizations you've hired from. Maybe seeing a pattern here where maybe enterprise level, the ones that are most sustainable. The other ones are kind of a little more variable, so you maybe want to go into the weeds a little bit there. But ultimately, what you want to generate is this overall list showing different sizes, different industries, and really starting to look at where the patterns of good performance are coming from. So you can actually really prioritize future sourcing efforts from there. So that's it from me. Let me know what questions you have, but I'm happy to write some more. Thank you.